Man, I keep thinking about Carl. Imagine his happy little face when he saw his new fish tank. R.I.P. Carl.
If you enjoy these videos, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more. Also, stay tuned for some funny comments in the thread throughout the video.
Lawyers. What's a law that isn't real that normal people insist exists? In the UK, people often claim that if an item is listed for sale in a shop, then the shop legally has to sell it to you at that price. This is not true at all, as the shop doesn't have to sell you anything at any price. Often, as a gesture of goodwill, shops will honour erroneous prices, but they are under absolutely no obligation to do so. Back when I had a goldfish, R.I.P. Carl, I went to Pets at Home to buy him a bigger tank. It rang through at £0. Checkout girl raises an eyebrow. We share a laugh. She messes about with the system a bit more, but all she gets is 0. So she calls her supervisor. We wait a few minutes, a few more. The queue is building up behind me. Eventually, she shrugs, prints a receipt for £0 and sends me on my way with a free fish tank. Good day for me and Carl. Edit. So glad my most upvoted post is one about my old fishy friend. Also, thanks for the little blobby guild thing. I was at a TJ Maxx or similar once and found a bunch of jars of orange honey, clover honey and the like for $1 a pop. Absolute steal. So I grabbed one and take it up front. It rang up for $1,000. The cashier and I gawked at it, laughed, and she said something must have been entered wrong in the system. She punched in $1 and then only asked that I not abuse their return system. Damn, I'd have gone to the next closest store immediately anyways. And then you get a flat on the way home because that's how karma works. According to religious and philosophical tradition, it really isn't, but I sure wouldn't mind changing a tyre with $1,000 in my pocket. Thanks for pointing this out. I keep trying to hammer this home to people who never studied the Vedas, etc., and they're like, karma. Karma is literally just cutting yourself if you play with knives. Play dumb games. Thank you. Furthermore, technically speaking, karma is considered a physical residue like dust that stays on you forever, whether good or bad. It has nothing to do with the what goes around comes around ideal that most people associate with the term. Forever. It can be cleansed by rituals and cancels out. Matter and antimatter. A fake. Basically, just cause and effect. But how do you know that OP isn't karma's way of punishing the manager at the next TJ Maxx? You kid, but that's my biggest dilemma when trying to understand karma. Karma doesn't have fists, Randy. You know what? You're right. Karma doesn't have fists. www.dhamsutas.org/an/an4_77.html. According to the Pali Canon, there is no way to know or comprehend the way karma works out, so my takeaway is it's probably better to just be forthright and not risk making bad karma for yourself. According to Alan Watts, karma has no magical component. It is merely the sum effect of one's actions. If you drop litter, your karmic punishment is that you then have to live in a world with more litter in it. Then, what's up if someone doesn't litter and even picks up trash and they still have to live in a world with litter? Karma comes after everyone eventually. You can't get away with screwing people over your whole life. I don't care who you are. What goes around, comes around. That's how it works. Sooner or later, the universe will serve you the revenge that you deserve. This is called the just world fallacy, and the world, insofar as we can see and measure, doesn't work that way. That's not how it works at all. Just ask Trump. If you're lucky, you're still around to see it, or at least hear about it. Just like how karma did a number on Trump. You know, like remember the toilet paper stuck on his shoe? I'd take that trade. Flat costs $130 depending on how you handle it. Still up $870. It's a win. Guess you don't value your time. I own my own biz, so everything kind of works behind the scenes regardless of my actual daily input. My hourly is consistent, so anything extra is always a bonus. If you think that's how karma works, ironically, you will have bad karma. 2020 is a case study in the fact that karma does not work. But then you pay a tow truck, buy all new tires, and still have Benjamins in your pocket. That's how Dharma works. Current fuckery will affect this life, good or bad, whereas karma builds over this life and affects the next, apparently. Any fuckery from this life and it affects your next incarnation or incarnations. It's a common misconception and pop culture has it kind of janky, as I understand it. $1,000 for a fat tire? Sounds like a deal to me. Unless they were struggling to get rid of stock, why would they care about the return system? Because it would go through the till that the shop would owe them $1,000 back.
If you enjoy these videos, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more. Also, stay tuned for some funny comments in the thread throughout the video.
When they have a receipt that says they only paid $1, sometimes they offer returns without the receipt if you still have the sticker on in-store credit. That could definitely be used to get your money back. Every store I've worked at has had a no receipt, no return policy. Isn't that the standard everywhere? It is not. In my country, it is. I guess it's different over in the US or whatever. And then they sell it to another customer and make $1,000. So they're still only out the cost of the fish tank as they were in the first place. I mean, if they can find someone willing to pay that much for a jar of honey from TK Maxx, then props to them. They deserve it. Huh? No. They now have the fish tank back so they can sell that again. Someone forgot a decimal point. Yeah, when I was younger, I was in the shop with my mum and she almost accidentally paid like £800 instead of 80 because the guy at the checkout typed it in wrong. Return system? That's a great idea. I call bullshit. If she changed it to $1, then you could only return for $1, not 1,000. My understanding is that she manually just charged $1 without changing what the barcode would come up as if ran through the system again, so to bring it back and claim she accidentally got charged $1,000 without a receipt would be skeptical but possible without being provable, unless staff would be willing to look back through all the transactions from the day she claimed she bought it, something that the acting manager would have to make a call on. So, therefore, all fault goes to the cashier, who would know it's not the customer abusing the system, it's them. All cashiers working a till will be trained how to override prices in situations such as this. Numerous people are jailed every year for selling products at a huge loss for the company, e.g. ringing iPhones in for $60, etc. Now this situation is quite easy. The staff or manager handling the return would inspect the item, realize an error has been applied and then work it out from there. No way would you get $1,000 refund as the amount of auditing involved to pull back the money from the accounts is beyond belief. They would most likely check typical prices for such items, offers of the week, then finally videotapes to see who is making them lose money. Hopefully you're right, as they do have systems in place to prevent that, but the system does not prevent human error. The cashier would definitely either get in trouble or put under surveillance if someone managed to get away with that, though hopefully the cashier would have informed a supervisor about the barcode error, so there'd be a record. But things get through the cracks all the time, so there's at least a person or two in your town alone who's managed to scam themselves into money like that. Also, mostly unrelated, most bigger stores actually let you get away with it until you cross the dollar value to turn in from petty theft into a felony. In my province, it's about $1,500. No way would you get $1,000 refund, as the amount of auditing involved to pull back the money from the account is beyond belief. It might depend on the POS software a given shop uses, but in my experience you can ring up as much as you want, and as long as you don't finalize the transaction, you can erase any item, no problem. You need a receipt for returns. It will show only $1 was paid. I hope Carl was really happy with it. Carl lived like the king he was from that day on. Classic Carl. When I was a kid buying chocolate for a school camp, I had some M&Ms which came through with the wrong price. Back then, the supermarket had a deal that if something scanned wrong, you got it for free, and any extra items for the lower price. I had to take the checkout lady to see the wrong price on the shelf, and she told me to grab a heap more, and just gave me all the M&Ms for free. To this day, I'm not sure how that worked, but kid me had a great school trip. I believe in Canada it's called the scanning code of practice, and anything under $10 is free. If over 10, it's $10 off. I work in retail, but nobody has ever called us on it. It's voluntarily participated in by businesses as a show of good faith, but they're not legally obligated. Too many people call us on it. R.I.P. Carl. R.I.P. Carl. R.I.P. Carl. This made me smile. Lol. God bless Carl, young lad living in luxury. Did Carl raise his eyebrows? And I assume you were being respectful the whole time, because a Karen would have insisted on getting it for free rather than let the employee figure it out. And then the employee would have been like, fuck the line, I'ma make her pay for it somehow. If they were being a Karen, that cashier would not hesitate for a second to call over someone to go find a tank that looks like it to use the price off of it. Man, I keep thinking about Carl. Imagine his happy little face when he saw his new fish tank. R.I.P. Carl. He was loving it. Clearly more relaxed for the extra room. He grew a bit more too. R.I.P. dude. R.I.P. Carl. Guess it's free. Back when I got my first job, I was hungry, cold, and tired. I went to Kroger to buy some food with my first check. When the checkout girl started scanning, she realized nothing was ringing through. It was beeping, but not charging. 2 hours of her and the supervisor fiddling, and finally the supervisor kindly asks I go to an ATM. All for $40. Good thing there. Once I was buying a $50 drone, but a piece seemed missing, so I told a store worker and they discounted it to 20 cents. And then when I got home, I realized it was just hidden, and I had just scammed a store out of $50 accidentally. Pets at home. This brought back bad memories of my tenure there. The pricing was all over the place. Multiple times a day, shit would ring up wrong. That reminds me of when I went to spend less shoes. They had some sneakers for $50 discounted to $40. When they came up on the till, they went through at $5, so I bought the only other pair as well. R.I.P. Carl. Broken dreams so grand, sing of his final stand. Long live Carl. He sleeps with the fishes in Valhalla. R.I.P. Carl. Carl with a K. The best fish name ever. I got a cat named Carl last September. R.I.P. Carl. He's swimming peacefully in heaven. I would have bought the store out of fish tanks. Nah, didn't want to push my luck. Plus, I could only carry one and was using public transport, etc. But yeah, the thought crossed my mind. Goldfish are vastly underrated as pets. We bought our 3-year-old one when I brought the twins home from the hospital, so he could take care of something too. Paid 37 cents. He lived 6 years and grew to about 6 inches. He had so much personality. Whenever someone came near his tank, he would do zoomies. He really loved our dog. I'm sure Otto was front and center for Carl's welcoming committee. A couple days before my birthday, I went to buy a dress from Nordstrom Rack. I tried on a lot of dresses and looked through almost everything before I found one. It isn't easy for me to find fancy dresses that fit well. Anyway, it rang up for 2 cents or something, and they let me have it for that price. I felt so lucky that that was the one I'd chosen. I think it was marked for $70 or something like that. It was a great birthday present. R.I.P. Carl. He's swimming peacefully in heaven. I had a better fish named Carl. Super odd that we both had fish with the same random name spelled the same way. at least in the US. That name is more often spelled Carl, but I like the K better. My Carl was also a good fishy boy, and we gave him a burial when he passed. I named him after Carl Pilkington, also the source of my username. Once, way back in 2009, some lazy as fuck Jimmy John's employee dumped all of his door tags for some reason on the handle of apartment 419. About 200 free sub coupons attached to his door tag. Did I absolutely take advantage of this small mistake? Of course! Despite multiple denials, all I had to do was hand them out and visit various locations throughout my small town at the time to feed myself and other poor university mates for next to nothing. Edit. The cops were summoned, but laughed at my apartment manager. I was 17 and at the time, leaving these door tags was a crime upon itself. Littering. I helped clean up the mess Jimmy's had unleashed upon my complex. I can't imagine she didn't get fired shortly thereafter, or at the very least have to pay for it herself. That was a very bad decision on her part. That's probably what would happen in the US. In the UK, it might not.